Hey, what's up, guys? Uh, Thanks for joining us here on another week of Kicking It with Coach Webb. I'm Coach Webb, and I have a wonderful guest today, one of my good friends in the coaching community, East Prairie's head football coach, and also a track coach there at East Prairie, Mr. Chad Jamerson. Thanks very much for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited about today.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Hopefully we can talk about some cool stuff and promote some things and go from there. But so let's jump right into it. So where and when were you born?
I was born in East Prairie in August of 1980. I'm going to be 40 years old in a couple weeks. I was born to Paul and Sandra Jamerson.
Okay.
They were young, and I think they were 19 or 20. They'd been married for a couple years, and they started a little family then.
Yeah. So they didn't waste no time, did they?
No, about 2 years in, and had their first one, and by the time they were 30, they had 3.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
That's
myself,
good.
my sister, and my brother.
That's cool. So how spread out are you guys? Like
5 years.
5 years.
5 years apart.
Yeah.
I'll be 40. My sister's 35, and my brother just turned 30 and had his first kid.
Dang, boy, they kind of really did stick.
Like it was planned out.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Yeah. I wish I could. Yeah, mine were just. I had 2, and then had a little break, and then had another one. So that's crazy. So tell me a little bit about. So you grew up. Did you grow up in East Prairie then?
Grew up in East Prairie for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, I come from a construction family. My dad seemed like my dad was always swinging a hammer.
Yeah.
You know, up until I was 5, we moved around a lot, all over the country. We lived in Midland, Texas. We lived in New Orleans. He worked on the World's Fair down in New Orleans.
Really?
Pouring concrete down around the French Quarter. Worked in Osage Beach. You know, we moved around a lot until I was about 5 or 6. When I was 5 or 6, we came back to East Prairie and settled down. My parents were born and raised in East Prairie. And, you know, after those first 5 or 6 years, you know, Dad chasing jobs and trying to put together a little bit of a resume, you know, we came back in about 85 and moved back to East Prairie, and he and Mom settled down. And my sister came along not too long after that. You know, a year or 2 after that, my dad started his business and had a construction company for several years until he got into teaching. And,
Really? So he was construction first then?
he was construction first. He had a construction company, really successful construction company in Mississippi County. You know, you know, construction is what it is.
Sure.
You know, you got to spend money to make money.
Mm-hmm.
While my dad was working the construction company, my mom was finishing out her education. My mom's been a special ed teacher at New Hampshire County Central for a while now. She's coming close to retirement. My dad retired a couple years ago after an accident. But yeah, he had a construction company, and then he got into teaching industrial arts for a few years, and now you know, they're getting ready to walk into that next phase of life where they can kind of enjoy, you know, the rewards of their labor, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. So that's cool. Eh? So you grew up there, East Prairie. After a while, well, you know, what'd you do growing up there in East Prairie? What'd you do for fun, you know, as a kid?
Played a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't very good, but I still played a lot.
Yeah.
Played a lot of baseball, rode bikes, you know, 3-wheelers, not 4-wheelers.
Yeah.
Didn't have 4-wheelers at that time. You know, just kind of hung out with your friends a little bit. You know, I always remember playing a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
You know, I was always a big baseball kid. I loved baseball. Still love baseball.
Yeah.
But we played a lot of baseball, rode our bikes a lot. We lived a little bit out of town, so, you know, it was a trek to get into town to meet up with your friends on a bike, but it was a different time then. You know?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, you have to be outside a heck of a lot more than you do now. You know, with all the crazy stuff going on in the world and everything, and it's just nuts right now, you know, and then, you know, it makes me miss, I wish that's some of the things I wish my kids could do, you know, at least more toward the level of I mean, they still get to play outside, but not like what we got to do as kids.
Oh, no doubt. You know, it was, you know, I can remember being a young kid, and there was a little grocery store. It was called Morgan's Grocery. It was about 2 miles from our house. You know, I'd take $5 and hop on my bike and ride down to Morgan's, fill up a brown sack of candy, and come back.
Yeah.
Nobody blink an eye. You know?
Right.
Now, if my daughter said, "Hey, I'm going to hop on the bike and ride 2 miles up the road," I said, "Yeah, we'll put your bike in the back of the truck and you can sit on it while I drive." You know,
yeah.
It's a different world. You know, kids. You know, and that's a good thing and a bad thing.
Sure.
You know, But it's different. I think it's different being a parent now than probably what it was being a parent in the 80s and 90s.
I think so too. Yeah, I do. That's a crazy deal. So you're growing up there in East Prairie, and you know, what about high school? So let's talk a little bit about high school. So when you were in high school, maybe did you have any like real close friends back then?
I did. I had two really close friends. One's Gary Doris. He lives over around Springfield. I think he actually lives in Republic, Missouri now.
Yeah.
He was real big with the Boys and Girls Club. I think he's in charge of a youth group at a church, and you know he was always a really good friend of mine. And another's David Kirby. David Kirby and I are still friends, real close friends to this day. He's the head coach in Monroe City for football and track up in the Northeast, and you know we talk every other day. Another good close friend I had that I kind of developed in junior high and high school is Corey Atkinson.
Yeah,
he's an offensive coordinator at Sykeston.
Yeah.
You know, he and I were really good friends growing up too. So those were three guys that I really spent a lot of time with.
That's cool about Corey. I didn't realize that. I mean, Corey was at Kennett a few years before I was there, and he's head coach, and then ended up going to Sykeston, and we still, because Coach Penn was friends with Corey as well, so we still talk to him a bunch, or like if we see him at clinics, or just randomly talking to each other, helping each other out sometimes with huddle film, or just whatever, you know, that's cool. It's neat to have that little connection.
You know, it's nice to have those three friends. Those you know, those three guys are really good examples for me. And, you know, what it looks like to be a good father.
Yeah.
And what it looks like to be a good husband. You know, I think those three guys with David, Corey, and Gary. And I don't have as much contact with Gary as I used to, but you know, those three guys really kind of influenced me on what it looks like to you know, to be a good man. You know, and I've had all kinds of great examples in my life of that. So.
And so, let's hit on that before we keep going through the biography here, because you know we're doing this channel, but we want people to know. I want people to get something out of this as well, like some positive. You know, young kids are watching. Maybe not young kids, but like high school age kids are watching. Like, how important is that to have those role models? Like, in your life? I mean, where would you be without those people?
I think you hit the word really good right there with model. You know, I can tell you that I had three really good friends that were good model. You know, that modeled what it was like to be good people. You know, David's a good person. He was a good person when we were in high school. Same way with Corey. Same way with Gary. You know, but you know, I get the same thing. I had the same thing at home. You know, I'm really fortunate growing up. I had both my parents at home. My parents have been married for 42 years. You know, they were good examples on, you know, the good and the bad of marriage.
Right.
You know, you learn, okay, it's okay to make a mistake, and it's okay to say you're sorry. You know, and the same thing with my grandparents. You know, my grandfather passed away 20 years ago, but I'm pretty sure he and my grandmother got close to 50 years. You know, so I have really good models on what it was like to you know, be our definition of what a good person is and what a good marriage looks like, and how to treat people. And you know, I think, you know, when you're out picking your friends and you're picking those people that you want to follow, you got to be selective a little bit. You know, I think we all are intrinsically built in with this idea of what's good and what's bad.
Right.
I don't think you can ever use the excuse of, well, I didn't know that was wrong.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it's just what you choose. You know, and if you choose people to spend your time with that are always doing the right thing and being kind and you know, showing love, I think it reciprocates itself and you get that return.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I was watching, I don't know, I was on TikTok watching. There's like these motivational dudes that show up on my feed or whatever it is on that app, and he's like, you show me your 5 friends, and I'll show you your future.
Oh, no doubt.
I say on there.
No doubt. You know.
I think that's huge. You know, like if we choose friends that are doing stupid stuff, there's a much. I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, there's a much greater chance that you're going to do stupid stuff. You choose friends that are doing good stuff, and then, you know, there's a greater chance you're going to do that.
You hang out with clowns, you're going to go to the circus.
That's right, you know, so that's right. So that's good. That's a good thing there. All right, so hey, so you're going up East Prairie, which I think it's cool. I'm just going to get this. I got to just say this. Like, I think it's cool that you teach in East Prairie and that you coach in East Prairie, because it's like Coach Pixley and I got in this long talk about how, like, because we both, I never coached at Dexter, but I've coached against Dexter now. And, you know, he was coaching against Dexter for a while there going into it. And he was like, because both of us, football and athletics, shaped just the people we are. Without, I mean, you know, where would we be without football? You know, it's like, it's crazy. You don't, I mean, I don't know. Like, I spent 8 years being a head coach for football, and then we came to Kennett, and I've been an assistant coach for football now, and played football, and it's just all those, everything about it. But something about when you beat your alma mater, like, you have to beat them, you want to beat them, but like, since we came from that, you just want it to also be good so other kids can make it through that same program. You know, it's just something about it. So I can admire you working in East Prairie and, you know, doing your best to continue the success of the program there. I think that's so cool.
You know, I think part of it too was, you know, for me is, you know, my early years in high school, we were really good. My 8th grade, my freshman year, they had a lot of talent come through. You know, James Hodges, who's one of our assistants, he played on those teams. They were really talented. You know, my 8th grade year, my freshman year, and then it kind of fell off a little bit afterwards. It fell off till about 2005, 2004, 2005, and the program started building up again. I think for me, and I think for the guys that are alumni that have come back to the program, like you said, there's this desire for this program. And we're not, you know, I know we all measure ourselves on wins and losses, and that's all well and good, but I think there's a desire for this program to be a positive experience for the young men in our community. You know, I think in any community, you know, we know the epidemic, if you will, of how many young men grow up without a father figure in their life.
Yeah.
You know, our job as educators and coaches, because there aren't a lot of male educators out there,
right,
you know, is to try to provide that stability for these guys, and I think there was a need for that. You know, we're really lucky in our town that we've got a lot of families that invest in their kids, you know, but there are kids that still need somebody there, and that was really the ultimate goal, is just to try to help provide these kids with what I've been fortunate enough to have my whole life.
Right.
I had that stability, and that was the goal, was just to give that to the kids, and our platform is football, and track.
That's right.
And the classroom is just to provide something. You don't know what every kid needs when they come through the door.
Right.
You know, some kids need a boot to the butt, and some need a hand around the shoulder.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true. It can vary by the day.
and it can vary by the day, but it's our job as coaches to get to know that kid personally. You know, not just, you know, put them in a corner and go, okay, well, we'll give this kid the same treatment we give every kid. No, you got to take some time. This is, you know, I know people, you know, probably don't think that coaching and education is tough and all they see is Friday nights, but, you know, it's a 24-hour-a-day job. I've got kids calling at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, Coach, I need to talk.
Yeah.
And you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you shut the bedroom door and you go in the living room and you talk for an hour and, you know, figure out what's going on with the kid.
Right.
And then the next day, if the kid needs a boot in his butt, he gets a boot in his butt.
That's right. That's
He
good.
needs a hug, you give him a hug. You know? There's nothing wrong, and my mama told me this a long time ago, you know, and I'm going to tangent here, I'm going to get on soapbox. Nothing wrong with telling somebody that you love them.
No, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
You know, I think, you know, we've all been raised to, you know, that maybe that's something you just don't tell people, you know, but there ain't nothing wrong with being nice to people and telling somebody you love them.
That's right. And we'll touch on that more later, but like you can be nice and still have high expectations.
Absolutely.
Push people.
Absolutely.
I mean, sometimes people don't see, they don't understand that. Like our track program. Like, I know that like when we go to meets, like, and you've been to lots of, I mean, we go to almost all the same meets. Like, my kids had better be acting right.
Mm-hmm. And they do.
Yeah, I mean, and they do. And like, I'm not gonna lie, those are some of the wildest kids Kennett's got to offer. Some of them, I mean, they are. I mean, for whatever reason, I mean, whether it's JAG or whatever, I just seem to naturally bond with the wild kids. Maybe because I was a little wild when I was young. I don't know, but you know, they're acting right when they're there, and you know, you got to have those expectations. And I'm really nice to them most of the time, but I think sometimes people forget that. And I see that I see that with your kids a lot, like some of the stuff you do over there. But I want to hit that all now because I still want to talk about, you know, growing up and different things. But I want to get into that more toward the end. All right, so let's say you're in high school, and let's go back to that. What teacher or coach in high school maybe had a big influence on you, or maybe you look up to, or just have something special you remember about them?
So many. You know, the one guy that sticks out to me that I had a great relationship with was our head track coach, our strength and conditioning guy, and he was assistant football coach Bernard Ivy. I was really close to the Ivy family. His wife was my high school English teacher. You know, love and respect that family. You know, a lot of kind of the ideas that he presented, I kind of model after a little bit. You know, I can kind of empathize a lot with Coach Ivy too, for the simple fact that sometimes Coach Ivy rubbed people the wrong way. Sometimes I rub people the wrong way.
Sure.
But you know, if you worked hard and you sacrificed, you know, he respected you. He cared for you.
Sure.
You know, he didn't like, he didn't like what I call now keyboard cowboys. You know, people that just talked about it. You know, he wanted results.
Yeah.
You know, and that really tied in really well with what I was getting at home too. You know, at home I'm being told, hey, if you work hard, great things can happen. And then I'm coming up to the school and I'm kind of getting that same exact message from Coach Ivy. You know, that really reinforced it for me. I'm like, okay, this can work. You know, he had a major influence on me. And his wife, Miss Sharon Ivy, she was my English teacher. I believe she's an administrator down in Mississippi, maybe assistant superintendent now. He's got a very successful track program in Munford, Tennessee now. You know, they both had a very good influence on me. You know, the Myrick family, Jerry and Miss Sherry Myrick, they were my English teachers, science teachers growing up. Big influence on me, just from a teaching standpoint, how to treat people. The Howell family, Ron Howell. Was my social studies teacher. Miss Ann Howell was our facts teacher. Once again, another family in the school district. You know, that was one of the things that I really noticed were families in the school districts. You had the Ivies, you had the Myricks, you had the Howells, you had the Kleiners. You know, so many families that were also teachers in our districts had profound influences on me. I really think I took a little bit from everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, we all get this, but it really does when I look back on it. You know, you don't notice it when you're young, but it really was, for me, kind of a family atmosphere growing up in Eastbury High School, because, you know, you had these families that were looking out for you. You know, I went to the Ivy's house for dinner because I was friends with their son. You know, you run into these people in a small community out in public, and you know, these are your teachers, but you also see they're normal people, and they've got kids, and I grew up with their kids, and you know, it just kind of profound when I look back on it, the effect that these people had on us.
Yeah, like it takes a village like this.
It does. You're absolutely right. You know, that's a good way of putting it.
You know, I was thinking about this when I talked at length with Joey Tribble about people who come out of jail, or they go to jail for something, they go back to jail, they get out, they go back, they get out, they go back. They're in that cycle, you know, or maybe like a poverty cycle and stuff. And you know, I'm just curious what your thoughts are, and it's whatever your thoughts are is okay. But like, I feel like we have to try to do those good things, because I feel like it takes a village. It can go either way. Like if you're like all these people who come from like this poverty, and like these environments where it's really negative. Like I watch kids with amazing potential, like that have it all set up for themselves, like ready to go off and take on the world and do these things, and then not. And then I watch the poverty and the parents keep them in it. And so, like, I just think, you know, the village mentality. You know, what are your thoughts on how that can come both ways? I mean, like, you know, because you know, I've had so many people the same that were so influential in my own life, you know, and then we got, you know, some of the other sides of this. You know, tell me, do you see some of the other side of East Prairie as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Or, you know?
Yeah. You know, I think our lives, our futures are made up of our past experiences, you know, a lot of cases. And I think with us, I think the job, for the positive side, when you want to break that cycle, when you want to take someone out of that cycle, you've got to provide them with positive experiences. You've almost got to force it on them sometimes.
Yeah.
You know,
and I've seen you do that. Like, that's something I admire about what you do. Like in your program, I've watched you do random things to make sure that the experiences are positive, like you do, like at your track meets, you play the music. You
Oh
do
yeah,
the cheeseburger run. You make it fun for try to make it fun for all the kids, as well as, hey, we're trying to do our best, we're trying to win, but
But it's got to be.
Yeah.
If it's not fun, what are we doing it for?
Right, and then like I've seen some of the extra stuff you do with with weights and the football stuff you do with your kids, and and I've always admired that about your program, because I mean, yeah, you gotta get on people, and sometimes you rub people the wrong way, and that just kind of comes with it. But it ain't that you're not trying to put in some positive. I mean, obviously winning's positive. I've heard that so many times, but like there's so much more to it than just wins and losses.
Yeah.
I mean, like right now, like in my coaching career, like before I moved to Kennett, like I coached similar ways. Like I haven't changed who I am as a person. I mean, I've gotten better, but like we went to 2 programs that were losing really bad when we got there, and so like it took us a long time to get better at both places. So my overall record as a head coach in football is not very good. Like it's not good. Like 36 something winning percentage. I mean, it ain't very good. But you wouldn't know that now because all the success we're having in Kennett. And so. And obviously, I'm not a head coach, but coaching defense and being a part of Coach Wyatt's program, the guy who never loses, but like, which hey, he is a worker boy. Everybody's like, well, how does he do it? Like, is it magic? Like, what does he do? He always wins. And the whole thing is, dude, he just works more and harder. Like, it's insane. Like, it's just, and the weight room stuff, he gets so much out of them kids. That's what it is. I mean, it's just
he just outworks you.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, like, it's just we're talking just how it works people. We've had some good kids. You can't say we ain't got good kids.
Yeah,
we got some good kids, but he gets a lot out of them. They're there. He gets a lot out of them. But anyways, like, I've always tried to do fun things too.
Yeah.
And I see that you do that. So I mean, it ain't all about winning and losing. So what? So in my brain, like, what is it? So like we eventually won.